Uh, and Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Chernevsky. I'm the host and producer of this podcast, is Uncalled for. You may have noticed we are not doing live Fringe this year because of a COVID outbreak in this very house. I myself was not affected, but other people were. And that is why we could not do live Fringe this year. We'll see about next year. So in the meantime, you get us for virtual Fringe for the third year in a row. And want to thank all my guests for agreeing to the transition from in person to virtual. And thank you. I couldn't do this without you, and you guys rock. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to what's going to be a virtual Fringe episode of the podcast for reasons I hope everyone is familiar with right now. But joining me today, even though his camera is not on, my friend and fellow filmmaker, Jason Turner. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. I'll turn my camera on here in just a moment if I can.
Hey, great. While you're doing that, I guess a great question for everyone to get started is, all right, great seeing the Iron Detective helmets in the back there. So.
Hey. Oh, yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Of course, the Iron Detective is Jason's big sci-fi cyberpunk work. So
yeah, it's a labor of love. Something I've been working on for a while. Yeah,
no question.
Seems like most of our friends in KC know about it. I would imagine. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'm down to. I mean, I guess what did you want to talk about?
well, Iron City's a great Iron Detective. That's how long you've been working on this. I still recall it being the Iron City Chronicles.
That's right. It used to be called Iron City Chronicles. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Not to be confused with Iron City Beer, which is a Pittsburgh area beer.
Yeah, technically Pittsburgh is Iron City, from what I understand. So,
well, it's Steel City, but yeah,
Steel and Iron, yeah, nickname type stuff. So, but yeah, I've been working on it for a while, and we've actually just launched an order to get a 40-page comic printed out there, but because printing and shipping is so high right now, we're doing a digital version of it. And if we hit a certain goal, then we'll go ahead and print some books.
Awesome.
So yeah, and I'm also working with Andrea Dover, who is helping produce that, as well as helping produce American Evil, which is our horror Western project that we're working on. And you want to say hi?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, Andrea. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Right?
Well, welcome to the podcast. Yeah. All right. Good to see you. All right.
So I might pass it back and forth there. We've still
that's all right.
Furniture things going on here.
Sure. Yeah. So
But,
yeah. So
yeah, that's what I've been working on for a while, and I hope that I'm kind of hoping that Kansas City can get into a position. I mean, and maybe this is just me. Maybe I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but it feels to me that there's a lot of fear in Kansas City, and I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of people that have these really cool ideas and really cool networks and groups that they're a part of, and then they just kind of flounder and they kind of, they're it's like pushing up that rock up the hill or whatever, and eventually they just say, I'm not going to do this anymore, I give up, or I'm too depressed or whatever. And it's, to me, and I'm just, this is just my personal opinion,
Mhm.
to me it kind of puts us in a bad spot as far as creatively. Now, I'm not saying that everybody, there's a lot of talented people that are working on things, and I feel like a lot of people are afraid to collaborate. And maybe that's just a personal thing. Maybe people are just like, I don't like you, I don't want to collaborate with you. So, and that's fine, because the way I do things is not going to work for the way other people do things.
Right.
So, respectfully, Andrea and I and a couple other friends of ours, we've been talking about how the local KC area is kind of trapped, and I don't. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but somebody that I was speaking with recently kind of said that Kansas City, and I think they're paraphrasing somebody else, but they said that Kansas City is kind of like a filmmaking ghetto. I don't know if that's a appropriate term, but I think the idea is that we're all, there's a lot of people that are still kind of trapped in that hobby. Instead of making it a business, it's more of a hobby.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, I love the hobby thing, but I've been doing this long enough that
Right.
it's not really a hobby to me anymore. It's something that I really want to do,
Mm.
and it's a struggle, but it's also encouraging to see people that are coming up and they're asking us questions like, well, what are you guys working on? It's like, well, actually, I'm producing something with some local friends, and we're trying to do something that's a little bit outside the box. Maybe we'll do something that has a little bit more bite. And again, the way I do things is differently than the way other people does things. So I could be completely wrong, but I mean, what are your thoughts on the Kansas City film scene?
Well, we're definitely not Hollywood,
Right.
for one. Number two, you're right. There is a lot of film talent in our city. And yeah, there are people that will go at loggerheads with one another and probably shouldn't collaborate with one another. But those that do, I think, uh, have a success, big or small. And I think the epitome of what to me is a good, or was a good, KC filmmaker would probably be our late friend Dave Barry, and Brian
Oh,
Boy would be another good example.
Sorry, I was gonna move something.
Oh,
I miss Dave Barry. I was just thinking about him the other day because he uh, he was he was aggressive in a good way. Like
Mhm.
he was trying to make some content, and he was. I remember when he launched that film festival called Circus Immersion.
Yeah, whatever that weird thing was. Yes.
He called it the Circus of Pain, and he was really into scary
Oh.
clowns. I always thought that was cool. He
Yeah.
was into scary clowns.
The first film I ever worked on with Dave was something called Big Game. Remember that one with a winger and hunting clowns and
Vaguely. God, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Say, you want to sit over here? So that way, because
yeah, get both of you in. Yeah,
sorry, I was trying to, I should have had this set up sooner, but I didn't. So
that's fine. That's fine.
we had a problem problem in the basement, had to move a bunch of stuff upstairs. So trying to get that all sorted out. So yay.
As you do. As you
This
do,
video, if you guys look at her. So,
I'm sure this one.
but yeah, I do remember Dave Barry, and I remember, just, and again, some of this is like hearsay, but it does feel like that there's an active effort to make Kansas City into something better as filmmakers, but I think we gotta take more chances. I think we gotta take more, risks, but not like not at the risk of, getting people hurt or I mean, like risk,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
I do feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there's a strong horror community.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people making short horror films, feature horror films, and but I feel like some of those horror films, and again, personal preference, but some of those horror films don't have a lot of bite. They don't have, they're like the hallmark of horror films. And
Right.
I don't say that with any malice. I just say that it's just a personal preference. And if we're making the same stuff over and over again, and I'm guilty of this,
Yeah.
I keep making the same things over and over again, but it's
Just
like,
putting a different dressing on it. Exactly.
yeah. And it's hard to break out of that bubble. So obviously we need better screenwriters to get on the page and do some things. And there are some people that are writing and they're doing their own things, but writing is a gosh, it's really, really difficult. It's
Yeah.
super difficult.
I know.
And I'd like to see, I mean, I would like to see more writers come up and, start saying, hey, I got a screenplay, let's make it, and, what's happening in your screenplay? Well, we've got a helicopter crash, a Lamborghini chase, and maybe some horseback riding, and it's like, okay,
how you gonna pay for all that?
all that.
That's another thing that I think holds us back is the
Right.
money's just not there for all the cool stuff like that.
Yeah. And respectfully, there's ways around it. Like a good creative script could problem solve a lot of the things that I'm complaining about. But again, I haven't got off my butt and made a great script yet, so I'm currently working on getting better at screenwriting. I'm also going to digital. I'm getting my digital cinematography degree at Full Sail Online.
Awesome.
And that's something I probably should have did a long time ago, but I just felt like I never really could find a place, and I felt like I really like taking pictures and photographs, and I'm always hanging around the camera guys, asking them questions like, how does this work? How's that work? And I was like, maybe I should just no idea one of the things that it's very interesting to see things from an older person's perspective going through like a younger person's course, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Because there's lots of, like there's people out there that like say, hey, I'm going to be a TikTok star. It's like, good luck,
Okay, good luck with that.
Have fun with that, and there's, there's, say what you will, social media has changed filmmaking, like had like 1 million Instagram followers, and all that. Then it's like if she decided, hey, I'm gonna produce a film, then she maybe has that audience to follow her along with her journey and help support. But when you're starting out and you're trying to find a way to get a camera, and things like that, I can understand being a younger filmmaker, it's just easier just to use your phone and do everything, which is fine. That's a great way to start. I think there's less excuses now to make film,
Yes. Yeah.
a lot less excuses. There's a lot less technical hurdles. I can't imagine trying to shoot something on 16 millimeter and then editing it by hand or whatever, and then, having it develop, whatever the process was. It's just, I can't imagine that now. So in one respect, it's fascinating that people can make films on their phones, and with some planning and proper sound and everything, you can make something that rivals something that's somebody pays a lot of money for. So
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Just this device, you could easily be sure you hold it like this, folks, not like this.
Yes.
yeah, please do.
This is annoying. This is the way to go. Yeah. Yeah.
But Andrea, what are your thoughts? Because you've been quiet.
Yeah.
I would like to see more collaboration between people who don't normally collaborate in this area.
Mhm.
Like I feel like people, and I understand like most people want to work with their friends, but I think it would be good to have groups that don't normally work together start to work together.
Sure.
'Cause I think that could increase the quality of films coming out.
Yep. So sounds like we're all on the same page there. Yeah. Yeah. With all the different groups, you got the IFC, you got the Women in Film, you got the Screenwriters group, you got Video Corps. You see some of the same people, and but still different subsets. I mean, IFC, that's people like us for the most part. And Jason, you know this, but Video Corps, that's more techie guys.
Yeah, Video Core is pretty impressive. They were actually very helpful. One of the projects I did, the Iron Detective Sentinel, the Video Core guys were really cool about helping out with Adobe. Like our friend Rachel Manna, she won the Video Core Adobe Creative Cloud Suite for a year. When she got that, she was kind enough to let us use it to make a lot of the Iron Detective projects.
Awesome.
And Video Core was really cool about, just like, having a sense of community, but also having a sense of, hey, if you come to our meetings, there's something in it for you, but also you're not just going to get software, you're going to get knowledge, and I think knowledge is something that is, I think it's great when people share knowledge. I try to be kind of a teacher if I can, but I'm not really qualified to be a teacher, but I'll definitely try and share knowledge when I can and share ideas. I have a ton of ideas all the time, and it's a blessing and a curse. And I do feel that there's so many avenues and things that people maybe don't consider because, and again, I may be projecting perhaps, but it does feel like there's a lot of talent in Kansas City that's kind of just waiting for something to happen too.
Right.
It's like nothing's going to happen if you don't get off your butt and do something, And I've told some actor friends a while back. I said, yeah, it's like, if you're not getting cast anything, why don't you just write a part for yourself and something?
Yeah, exactly.
Why wait for somebody to give you a cool role? It's like, I wanted to play that character. That would have been cool. No, why don't you just write a character? And, I'm not saying it's easy to write, but what I'm saying is that, if people want to be a part of something, they've got to be, nobody's going to be excited about your projects as you are. And I've learned that. That's one lesson I've learned, lugging around my own IP forever.
So that's so true. That's so true.
It goes from one thing to the next. And what I find is funny is like, it doesn't happen overnight either. I mean, you have to build up those relationships. You have to build up that network. And there's a reason why I can do things that another filmmaker not because I'm better or anything. I just happen to have a relationship previously built with certain people that have certain resources.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like some friends will call on me and say, hey, can I borrow one of those prop thingies you got, And I try to be helpful. It slowed down a lot during the pandemic because obviously pandemic, but I did have friends that would borrow props and things from me occasionally. And I got a couple of friends that want to borrow some props, pretty soon.
Cool.
I am working on a couple of ideas that are kind of like sketches and things. One of them involves oh yeah, cool. One of them involves this guy. Yay.
The Joker. All
Yeah.
right.
Hello. He's I'm working with Michael McQuarrie. I think Michael McQuarrie is Kansas City's Mark Hamill, if you will. I don't think
Good person.
Michael gets enough to do, and he's a talented actor. I really like him, and I want to work with him on everything, but schedules and costuming and things. And the problem I have, and I admit, the problem I have is that the projects I try and do are always really ambitious, and I need to always kind of rein it in. But I'm getting to a point where I can like, okay, well, I don't necessarily need this thing to happen, but I can, if I can get a good talent attached, that'd be great.
Mhm.
One thing that Andrea brought up was that there's other markets that we could look at and see, and I'm sure that there are people doing that, but it's like I don't think we're talking about it enough. It's like, and I say this, not without any offense. I say it just as an observation.
Mhm.
Like, yay, we got this hurdle crossed. Okay, well, what's the next hurdle? What are we doing looking forward?
Right.
And and some of the things that are happening that I have no say or control over. So I'm very ignorant on a lot of those things, but I'd love to know more.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
I think part of the problem too, and I'm including us in this, is the lack of how to raise money, like except for like say Kickstarter. I mean,
Yeah.
there are other ways that some people raise money for their films, but like I'm not knowledgeable about that other than watching a few
Yeah.
YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Well, I've said before, I'll say again, I'm a terrible fundraiser. So, yeah, I'm just bad at it, whether it's film or politics, just bad.
It would help to have maybe business or financial professionals interested in starting to work on film, like producing, maybe learning some of the craft that could actually help
Mhm.
out with that.
Sure. And the irony of that, of course, is I have a business degree. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
You
yeah.
might understand it better than most people then if
Well,
Well,
we should have a talk off the mic whenever we can talk about some producing.
no. well, Stephen Pruitt, he's a professor at UMKC, teaches finance there.
I'm familiar
When
with it.
finance for film or just finance in general?
Finance periods.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I actually had his class and got a D in that class.
Oh,
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Well,
from-
he only tests on two. He only graded on two tests. The midterm and the final. So,
Oh, wow.
and there's a lot of math involved. But
Oh,
I bring him up because, of course, we all know he's a filmmaker as well, and a very good one.
mhm. Yeah, he's produced a couple of features for sure that
mm,
I'm having trouble keeping up with everybody's stuff, but I'm aware of him. I feel like the fact that he has that finance, knowledge is probably very helpful, on the business side of it. And
Yeah.
I need to get better with the business side of
Yeah.
filmmaking for sure. But that being said, it's nice to know that if there's somebody that knows finance and business, is like, say, here, let me take care of this part. You deal with, the casting and all that. And of course, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to have an angel investor or an angel producer.
Yeah.
But some people are passionate about their projects, and they're going to put their projects ahead of yours naturally.
Yeah.
of course.
So I do see that. I do see that a lot as well. But what is it other than barbecue and, a couple of sports teams that other people from other markets can see in Kansas City? I mean, we all talk about this, but, again, it's worth mentioning Ozark and Sharp Objects, supposed to be set in Missouri.
Right.
And they have second unit stuff come out and they film, oh yeah, I recognize that highway. But that's obviously the second unit. It's like, that is totally not Missouri. That is totally not Ozarks. That, that's Georgia, and it happens. I mean, Toronto and Dallas, other cities will double for other cities, back in the day. But now there's a lot of just stuff going straight to Atlanta, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's a market there. There's an industry there. And it's like, do we move there and do we become part of that machine, or do we try and keep, kicking Kansas City's butt, down the road and say, all right, come on, get up, let's do this, And I think it's possible. I think there are some local filmmakers that are, branching out a bit, but they're keeping quiet about it, which is probably smart because, they don't want, I feel like they're, again, the fear factor, maybe they're like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to blow this deal, and I get that. That makes sense.
Right.
But there's also some risk that needs to be, accepted when you become a filmmaker. So
we really need, Missouri and Kansas as well really should pass film and TV incentives. Both states used to have some. I mean, there's no reason not to. It'll add to jobs. If there are bigger film and TV shows filmed in this area, there will probably be people wanting to visit, so tourist money. I mean, there's no reason not to. I think in Missouri, they just haven't gone around to voting for it for some reason.
Right.
It seems like everybody agrees.
Yeah, you and Caroline Boehner have said pretty much the same thing on the tax credits, that they need to happen in order to attract jobs here. Good luck doing that in Kansas, because Brownback, first thing he did in office was axe the Kansas Arts Commission. So,
of course, if we could, the current governor, maybe she would be more likely to. I mean, it adds to jobs. So Republicans would be happy as well. It's a no-brainer. It brings money into the area.
I think a lot of people are, I'm sorry if I interrupted.
no, go ahead.
I think a lot of people are kind of the mindset that filmmaking is, again, there's people that are just like, oh yeah, I have my nephew, he makes movies and he's done a couple film festivals, and they just blow it off. It doesn't seem like real life to some people, and I get that. And again, I say it, maybe I'm projecting, but it does seem like there's a Midwestern mentality, if you will. I'm like, oh yeah, we've got everything we need here. Why do we want to make movies here, And it's like, if you're in the entertainment industry, then you're just like, well, yeah. And I feel like that's why some people move. We've had a lot of great talent that's come to Kansas City, which has moved to other states and better markets because that's where money's at. And understandably, that's the way it's going to stay. And for me, I think that, I'd love to actually, I'm interested in the podcast format. I thought about doing one myself. But I really don't know if I have anything to say that'd be worth listening to. So because I was like, what is this guy talking about? He's crazy, But at the same time, I do feel that communicating and networking is a big part of it too, because I've had people reach out to me and I'm like, how do I know you? I'm like, well, yeah, I saw you at this thing, and then they do all the detective work for you. It's like, oh yeah. Okay. My memory, I slept since yesterday, so I don't remember where that meeting was.
Right.
But I do feel that a lot of young filmmakers need to be prepared for the reality that there's going to be a lot of people telling you no. There's going to be a lot of no's before you get a one yes, and granted, you have to be careful about who you say yes to as well, do a little research, get on IMDb, Some people like I'll see posts in like social media groups that are just like, hey, we're casting a movie, we're shooting this weekend. We're gonna
Not enough notice.
we're gonna give you credit, and you got to bring your own car, and just it's like, what's in it for the performer? What's in it for the actor?
At the very
They're
least,
actually
gas money would be nice.
like, some actors are basically paying to be in other people's projects, and again,
That's unfortunately true. Yeah. So
and I say that
I'm guilty of that too. I'm guilty.
I say that as I am guilty of that. I have been that person that would do that. Be like, yeah, we'll get some pizza, and we'll get some, 6 packs of, soda, and then as you get older, oh, we'll have some beer after the shoot or whatever. And that's not enough. That's not enough to get people excited about movie making anymore. I mean, they can go to a party and have beer and pizza. You know what I mean? So, and parties are more fun than being on a movie set, for the most part. But again, there's other avenues we can do as well. There's like, I've talked with people about puppet shows. I've talked with people about, maybe doing an animation studio. And people are like, well, where are you going to get the money to do all that? It's like, well, okay, come on. There's the Adobe Creative Cloud. There's some really talented animators, if like 5 or 6 of these animators would just forge together and start an animation studio. Say, all right, we're going to produce the simplest, cheapest content possible, but it's going to be good content, and see what happens with it. That's a possibility, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen, because they might have 5 or 6 other projects on their plate, or they're currently working on their passion project, which is going to put your project or collaboration on the bottom of their to-do list.
Sure.
And again, speaking of Dave Barry, I remember he had tons of ideas, and like just off the cuff, he would have an idea that was just like, I was like, oh, that's really cool, man. I hope, when you're going to do with that. He's like, I'm not sure. I'm still working on it, and unfortunately he passed. And, I mean, but he, it happens. Life catches up with everybody. And it feels like if we have an opportunity to, be positive, and just, there's so many people telling you gotta have like a childlike mentality about it. You got to have that optimism that just doesn't die. It's like, hey, let's go in the backyard and let's put up a sheet, and let's watch a a movie from our childhood. There's that. But then there's like, hey, let's go in the backyard and let's make a movie that's about our childhood. And because we have no money, we're gonna film it in our backyard.
Right.
We're gonna film at grandma's house because she's gone for a week. And I mean, think about the resources that you have access to, and you can make something pretty cool. I've seen people pull off some amazing stuff for basically no money because they know somebody. It's like, I know this guy that has this cool car, and he'd love to show it off in a movie. Of course, he's got to be there on set with it, but otherwise we can photograph it, and it'd be great. And it's just little things like that, and then before you know it, you've got a network of those favors or those ideas, and you can make something cool. But after a while, there are people that are just like, hey, I can't do this anymore. I got bills to pay. So it's like, and I have, rightfully so, I've had people turn me down. They're just like, I cannot spend an entire day working on your passion project. Sorry. Like, okay, and there are some people that are willing to work with you on that, and there's some that are not. So, it's a balancing act. But I will say that I love Kansas City. It's where I'm from, and I am optimistic about it, but I don't know. I don't really know if it's ever gonna kick off in my lifetime. I'd like to see it get bigger, but
we can start the ball rolling now. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think the ball's been rolling. It's just, it's really,
You'll nudge, yeah. You'll nudge, or in football terms, just run it up the middle.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So I do have to wrap it up here in the next couple of minutes. Any closing thoughts from you guys?
Andrea? I mean, I guess my closing thoughts are, I hope that the information that again, this is going to be an exploration, but I hope the information that I'm trying to learn and share is something that will be useful to other people.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I will admit when I'm wrong, and I could be wrong. There could be some things in place that I don't even know about. So if I am, please let me know, because I want to be a part of the elevation of Kansas City's film scene instead of, the perpetual, ghetto that we seem to be in, according to one person. But I also think that, there definitely needs to be a focus on good storytelling. And I'm guilty of this too. I need to be a better screenwriter. I need to, why does this movie I love stick with me all these years? Because because if you look at the script, you look at the structure, there's a good story there. There's a good beginning, middle, and end. And I kind of miss when entertainment was just about being entertaining, not, shoving a message down people's throats. And I'm not saying that all entertainment's like that. There is still some good stuff out there, but there does seem to be a lot of entertainment that is not really entertaining. It's just, it's a chore to watch, and people get off work, they don't want to see something, that they're dealing with in real life anyways, I mean, there's a difference between being able to relate to something, and there's a difference between shoving a political message into a project and trying to hang, a Star Wars or a a Netflix approved banner on that. And I mean, nothing, don't get me wrong, I love Star Wars and I like Netflix, but
I think the way George Lucas did it was good. Like he would weave it into the
Yeah.
story,
Mhm.
which
but
is a way to actually people were more likely to listen.
But
So
one thing about George Lucas also is that there was an obvious transition from when he was a filmmaker into a businessman. And
Yeah.
we don't have the businessman here in Kansas City yet. We've got a lot of filmmakers, but not a lot of businessmen. So hopefully that'll change.
Yeah, hopefully so. All right. Well, we unfortunately got to wrap it up. So thank you, Jason. Thank you, Andrea, for coming on the podcast, and talk to you both soon.
All right.
Thank
Thanks for having
you.
us on, man. Have a good
Everybody, welcome to the podcast, and welcome for the third time now to the podcast, Lucas Stoneking and Daniel Rains.
Hey, 3P.
3P, yeah, the first guys to get a three-peat. If you discount all the times I recycled winning side coaches with Tim. So yeah. Because I've recycled quite a bit from that podcast into this one. Yeah.
Hey, you gotta fill space when y'all have interviews.
Yeah. So, real quick, DoorDash update. So I eclipsed 4,000 deliveries all time.
Man, congratulations. That's cool.
Yeah. And a few tips of the trade. One, I've developed a habit of avoiding any order that's less than $5.
Very smart.
Yeah, because I on occasion get a deluge of like, okay, pick this up, we'll pay you $2.50 or $3, or it's an insult. Come on.
For sure.
Yeah.
You deliver in Missouri at all?
Yeah, I'll deliver in Missouri time to time. Try to keep in Kansas as much as possible, but
Leewood is pretty good. Leewood's pretty good.
Yeah, I try to stay in Kansas as much as possible, but once in a while, I'll have to cross the state line. No problem.
Gas prices are pretty outlandish.
Yeah. Well, they're coming down. So that's good.
What's your most profitable area?
Well, I largely stick with the Overland Park zone that we talked about. It actually at the map behind me, probably can't see it. I stick with Overland Park Zone mostly because that's where I live. So
Yeah, right on.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, there are sometimes I will have to cross state line, especially if I'm doing chess clubs. Most of my chess clubs are in Missouri, and our
Yeah.
our chess club office is in the Northland, again in Missouri. So yeah.
Is North Kansas City?
Well, technically Kansas City North, but it's close to North Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you know the difference between the two, but basically North KC is its own like little suburb, and KC North just refers to
Okay.
KC proper, north of the river.
So that's like Briarcliff and over there by the Arcasy Casino, or no?
Our chess club office is closer to Harris.
Oh, okay. Oh, right on.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just down. It's just down Choteau from Harris. So
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's an up and coming area. That's a really nice area.
oh yeah.
It's busy for sure.
Mm-hmm. One of my more recent interviews. Do any of you guys remember the band Anything But Joey?
No, I don't think so.
No.
What's the genre of music?
They were more pop type band. All
Oh, cool.
local
Yeah, yeah.
guys. I had their drummer on the podcast, and we were talking about how things have been growing lately, and one of the things that they're talking about right now is putting a streetcar line through North KC.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, you'd get on the streetcar in the river market, and it would take you north of the river and through North KC. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that streetcar. Have you ridden it much, Mike?
Yeah, I've ridden it a few times now. So yeah, love
It is
it.
convenient. Like you could park somewhere where it's not a lot of
Yeah.
traffic, and then just scoot on down.
I'm really excited
Uh-huh.
about it's extended down to the UMKC campus and all that, but it's baby steps. Eventually, it's got to get out to our necks of the woods. So eventually,
Nice. Have you taken the train anywhere before? Have you used the train?
are we talking Amtrak now?
Yeah, the Amtrak.
Yeah. The last time I took Amtrak was probably 2010.
Oh, damn.
I haven't had much needs to leave town, but yeah, I have used
I gotcha.
Amtrak.
Don't you have a brother and brother that lives out of town? Or am I?
Yeah, one brother lives out of town.
Okay, that's right. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
You can't take the train to that, or where's that at? Does he live in Seattle? I thought you told me, or something like that.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, that's right. I was way off. Okie from Muskogee, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How's everything been for you? It's been a while since we talked.
Yes, it has. And
Yeah.
particularly last time we talked, it was also for Fringe. So
Oh,
also
yeah,
for virtual
cool.
Fringe, yeah. So,
Heck yeah.
and due to circumstances out of our control, we have to do virtual again this year. So
Hey, that's fine. As long as we get a chit chat, it's always good to
Yeah.
talk to you.
yeah, because we ran afoul of COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say, how often do you do this chess club? Is it every week or is it like every month?
Well, clubs during the school year, we do clubs all over.
Oh,
the
that's cool.
metro. And
Yeah.
those are a weekly thing. But for adults, so if you guys want to jump in on this, we currently do casual play at our office in KC North
Oh, cool.
every Saturday night.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And we're also doing casual play over at the Christian College, not too far from my house, over at 75th Street. We do that every week, starting at
Oh, great.
6:30 at the Christian College.
My wife and I, we get together and play Catan. I'm a big fan of Catan.
Settlers
So,
of Catan.
I
yeah.
know it's not. It's not the same as chess per se.
No, it's not.
We even got the expand. We even got a couple of expansion packs. So if that tells you anything, we've been real kind of diving into it.
I do have the original Settlers, since you mentioned that.
Do you really? Cool.
You have wood for sheep?
Oh, for sure. Oh, what is it? Aggregate? I call it aggregate. I think it's the purple stone. I like the stone.
Yeah.
And we got what is it? Seafarers. We got that expansion pack where
Okay.
you can build pirate ships and such. So
Yeah.
I'm still learning on it. There's so much a game can take for hours if you let it.
True.
So
I could get to
I really want to
Twilight
get
Imperium.
I really want to get like a 3D virtual board. Like have somebody 3D print a board. I think that'd be really cool.
Now, Settlers is nothing compared to Twilight Imperium.
Okay.
That game takes 6 hours to play.
And this is not Catan. This is a whole different game.
Twilight Imperium.
Twilight. Okay, I'll have to check it out.
I don't know if I'm ready for a 6-hour game.
I don't know. 6 hours is a lot.
But
6 hours and then you lose.
but in fairness to Twilight Imperium, you need the 6 hours.
Oh, for sure.
There is a lot to do in those 6 hours.
Is it a board game or is it actual like cards? More of a card.
It is a full-blown board game. It is a space-themed game, so everyone's a different race, and they're fighting over supremacy. And similar objective to Catan. You need 10 points to win.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah,
It's kind of cutting out a little bit.
but that said,
So how many other go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I was just asking how many other interviews you have on your docket of people to interview.
Well, just
Yeah,
for
like,
Fringe, just for
Yeah.
his Fringe program, I already got one out of the way. You're number
Oh,
2.
cool.
I got 2 more scheduled and 1 more I need to get scheduled.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, if we can ever find the time to do it in person, that'd be cool too.
Yeah. And
Because you have a YouTube dedicated to it, right?
that's just my personal YouTube, and yes, I do have a separate channel just for these Zoom interviews.
Effing bottle of bleach, man. I get it.
Okay, hang on a second. Since we're on the
Okay.
subject of board games,
So that's the map right there, huh? Who's that? Right there?
I could
Is that
use
Fraser?
any of the boxes they have, but
Let's ask.
that's one of my. This is one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whoa, that's cool artwork. I like that.
yeah. It's the
Wow.
obligatory Cthulhu set. So
Nice.
this, by the way, is probably my favorite expansion of Smash Up right here, the Cthulhu set. Is
Okay.
a game I like so much that I've been playtesting
What's
it.
the price point on that? Do you know?
I think these are about 20 a piece for the expansion sets. Depends on the sets, because
Oh, okay.
they the base game's close to 30.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm still playtesting stuff for that, and we'll be starting a new playtest period here very soon. Really excited about that. So I have a dedicated playtest team.
Awesome.
And by the way, yeah, fair fact, how the game works is you have 2 different decks that represent different factions from like pop culture and everything. Obviously, some of them are Cthulhu,
Oh, cool.
and you just put them together. Everyone does this, and
Okay.
you score points based on fighting over bases. So
All right, right on.
I do. So yeah, yeah, we'll need to get together at a Cardboard Corner or Tabletop sometime
For
and
sure.
get some of those games in. Yeah. I'll
Where's the tabletop at? Is that where Fuddruckers used to be?
No, that was something completely different.
Oh, okay.
Tabletop is at 91st and Metcalf, and the Cardboard
Okay.
Corner is right next to it.
I think I know where that's at. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, shortly after they opened, Dan sent me a photo of the place. I've already been there, and I know the owners of the Cardboard Corner. So,
Oh, right on.
yeah.
Now I gotta ask, who's that picture of? Is that Kelsey Grammer behind you? The bald
Yes.
guy? Yeah, yeah. Is that
The
Fraser
only
Crane?
acceptable wrong answer in any trivia game, if
Okay.
you do bar trivia, that'd be Michael Ironside.
Okay. And who is he?
You know, Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers?
Yeah, that's probably what he's best known for. Starship Troopers.
I thought it was Fraser Crane.
I had recently rewatched Top Gun, like in the past couple of months.
Oh,
The
cool.
original
Oh,
Top
wow.
Gun, not the current one, because I'm not giving the Church of Scientology any money.
Oh yeah.
But it shocked me that one of the instructors in that film was Michael Ironside.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is he still living currently?
I think he's still alive.
Okay. I'll just make
I can
sure.
check that
Sometimes
out.
you never know.
I can check that real quick, actually. Just go over to
That's
the.
crazy. You knew that. Michael Ironside. Is he like the boss?
Yeah,
too?
he's-
And
he's-
the
he'd be
commanding
pretty old
chief?
by
He's
now,
like
yeah.
the commander when they first get to that planet.
Okay. Okay. He dies in the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that has like a hand missing. Or something like
Oh,
that.
that's right. That's right. Okay. Oh man.
That's one of my favorite like bad movies, Starship Troopers.
Yeah. Hey, it's cool. Science
Mike,
fiction.
do you have any movies that you
That's
love
very
but you
old
know are
school science
terrible
fiction,
that you
actually.
love?
Starship Troopers. So, very old.
Yeah, that was like what, 90, 95, 96?
Actually,
made?
the original Starship Troopers, Luke, was a book.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah.
Book, written by Robert
like,
Heinlein.
Ender's Game.
So Robert
Okay.
Heinlein wrote
Cool. Yeah.
Starship Troopers back in the 60s. 50s or 60s, rather.
Oh, damn.
Michael
Okay.
Ironside, born
I'll have to check
1950.
that out.
Yeah, Michael Ironside, born 1950. Do the math, he would be 72 now.
Sheesh. Okay. Very cool. Do you want to go ahead and ask them that question, you guys? About the movie?
Mike, do you have any movies you know are bad but you still love them, like Starship Troopers?
Nice Starship Troopers. Well, I know there's some movies that are bad that I avoid, like The Plague. Like, say, Pulp Fiction would be a bad movie that I really don't like.
Not a bad movie.
So you're not a Tarantino fan, is what you're
I
telling
am
me.
not a Tarantino fan.
Hey, Dust Till Dawn was pretty awesome.
Um,
I like Antonio Banderas though.
Hmm.
he's like no, he was in Dust Till Dawn, right? Antonio Banderas. Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
I have a question. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Luke, I guess we could talk a little sports right now. Luke, you wanted to talk a little bit about soccer?
Yeah, I'm excited for the World Cup to come into play, and that's in a couple years, correct? They
Yeah,
gotta-
it's going to be 26, I believe, is when the World Cup comes here. And hey,
We'll
one of the
have to,
streetcar plans out of Sunbats would take the streetcar out to Arrowhead. So whether
How
it'll
do
be
you feel?
built in time, that's a different story.
And so, like, I got a question. What do you think they're gonna do with you think they're gonna hold it at the Chiefs Stadium, or you think they're
they've
gonna
already
hold it at
announced it'll
Sporting
be
Stadium?
they've already announced it'll be at Arrowhead.
Okay, just
Yeah.
because that's the most it can hold, kind of, you think?
Yeah, because it is a much larger stadium than Sporting.
Dang. And I know that old Mahomes' wife is building the stadium over there, which that'll be a really, really cool stadium. Like the English
Yeah,
Premier
right on the
League,
site
how it's
that
set
you
up.
suggested the Royal Stadium should go.
Well, yeah. I mean,
It-
you know,
Interestingly enough, the Royals are looking at the sites that I suggested when we talked about it.
which
over-
that would be what?
the one at 12th and
P&L?
Charlotte,
Okay.
which is currently empty field.
Dang. Well, I'm sure they'd build it beautifully, and it would be downtown, right?
It would exactly be downtown. It'd be within the eastern part of the downtown loop.
Okay, there'd be some. Hey, that'll bring a lot of money to the city.
Oh hell yeah!
So,
But it can't just be the stadium. You have to build like restaurants and hotels and
oh, for
businesses
sure, for
around
sure.
it too. So you know,
Very true. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We should get some. Try to allocate some tickets. To I don't know when they'll be able to on sale or pre-sale, but that'd be cool if the Kansas Cityans would get the first crack at it.
oh yeah.
And who do
Yeah.
you think is going to be in the World Cup? You think Russia will get a spot?
This year or 26?
26.
I have no clue. It is too early to. It
Hopefully.
is way too early to make that call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But sticking with soccer, I went to a few Santa Fe games this year. They did double time in terms of leagues. They played a little bit in the UPSL and a little bit in the Midwest Prem, which is part of the Nissan network.
Oh,
The
very
Nissan
cool.
setup.
Did they hold any titles? Did they win?
Not
Or,
this year.
Okay.
Not this year. UPSL, they finished dead last in their division.
Oh, bummer.
And Midwest Prem, which ends this weekend, they're going to finish third in a Division 4.
Okay. Huh. That's interesting to know.
Mm-hmm.
And do you get an opportunity to interview any of the coaches, players, etc.?
Yeah, after I usually reserve it for after wins, but yeah, I'll talk to a couple of the players like good game, and I've
That's
become
cool.
pretty tight with Lucho, the owner.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whom you remember last time we talked, it is also a player on the team. So
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Well, how old is he, if you mind me asking? Do you know his
he
age?
he's a fairly young guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. And do they get the opportunity to play, like go try out for Sporting, or do you know? Or they're like kind of like happy with that? That's like a smaller league, right? Like kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it's a little further. Yeah, it's a. Yeah, if I'm going, it'd be like playing in the Isthmian League in England.
okay.
So
Nice.
just to give you, that's the best example I can think of
Okay.
for the NISA setup, which is a good setup, and I like it. It's close to a proper soccer pyramid. So
Oh yeah. And where do they play at again? What's the location?
they'll play at different places around town, but this year
Okay.
I saw them play at Avila. I saw them play
Oh,
at
cool.
Sporting Fields, and saw them play at Rockers.
Oh, cool. Did they play at the UMKC fields or no?
They have not played at UMKC,
Okay. Cool.
but Rockers is like right across the street. So
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. I got to get an opportunity to get a chance to go out there sometime. I think it'd be fun.
mhm.
They play under the lights, right? Sometimes.
Well, this
Like-
year all the games I went to were during the day, so
Oh, okay. Cool.
they didn't need the lights.
I got a
But
buddy
yeah,
I
once in a
grew up-
while they'll have to play under lights if they're playing.
for sure.
And,
I got a buddy I grew up with. He has I think it's called Olama. He's got a coffee shop downtown.
Yama, they are affiliated with Santa Fe actually.
Yeah, and that's what I saw on their Instagram and their Facebook. I haven't reached out to him, but he's a good dude,
They're-
and
Yeah,
they're heavy.
Oyama are basically the Santa Fe B team.
Cool. That's very cool. I like I said, I grew up playing soccer with them, and they're good people. And sports and family and soccer, it's all kind of integrated together. I think it's really fun.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing about Santa Fe. It really is you're part of a family. Whether you're
Yeah.
playing or just observing as a fan, you are part of the family. That's
Awesome.
really special. Yeah. So yeah, they didn't do as well as I had hopes, but there's always next year. To get this year behind me, sports wise, oh my god. Yeah, you had fucking Stan winning the Super Bowl. You had fucking Stan winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And Chicken Hawks. Man.
What are the big ones?
Jayhawks.
Jayhawks. Oh yeah. They can get another Wendy's commercial.
I've never seen him hold grudges like that. Lifelong, he'll never give it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard about the Super Bowl ring that they only put one Lombardi on there, basically giving a giant middle finger to St. Louis. But
Yeah, that is kind of.
hey, St. Louis won the lawsuits. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what happens for them? They just get.
They
a big
just
lump sum
got
of money?
a bunch of money, and they're still trying to figure out how to divvy it up and find out what to do with it. So
Maybe they'll have an XFL team.
uh,
No,
they
who
will
knows?
definitely get the XFL. They are definitely
Yeah.
getting the XFL back. So,
Yeah.
and hopefully they bring the Bauhawks name back too. So.
Yeah. So you don't root for the Rams anymore since they're LA, do you?
Nope, not since they. The irony, Luke, is that
Yeah, there's a lot
when
of
they were
irony.
in LA the first time around. I was a fan.
Yeah.
So I followed them to St. Louis, but I did not follow them back to LA. And could you blame me?
Nah, it seems like a big money grab, if I'm being honest.
That's entirely what it is. Because last time I checked, LA doesn't really have fans.
Do you have any other teams you hold grudges against? Or just
You don't like Liverpool, do you?
It's Manchester United and
Oh,
Chelsea
Manchester.
that I don't like. So Liverpool, I'm neutral on.
Okay.
So, but well, the Yankees. The Yankees.
Them damn Yankees.
Mhm.
I don't even know who won the MLB. What is it? What's it called? I'm
World
sorry.
Series.
World Series. Yeah, sorry.
World Series.
I don't follow baseball too entirely much. They play 1,001 games for sure.
162 each year. So
Whew, that's exhausting.
yeah,
That's why baseball fantasy is terrible. It's just too much.
yeah,
going
that's exactly it. Yeah, I don't try to do baseball
on.
fantasy.
Even basketball. I did basketball this last year, and it was.
Yeah.
I don't even watch NBA, but
Yeah.
it was hard. to
NBA is
keep
in
track.
82. NHL is in 82. Yeah, hockey. Well, obviously the Colorado Avalanche, I really don't like because and Detroit is another team I don't care for in hockey. So
Isn't St. Louis coming to do like a are they coming to Wichita or is it Topeka? It's one of those close by.
yeah, I
It's
saw the
sports arena.
announcement they're doing a game in Wichita, but they're also doing a game in Independence this year.
That would be. Will you be going to that? That could be fun.
To be determined.
Okay. See, I don't even know. I'm not even aware who they play, so it's just like a friendly game, right?
Yeah, this would be like preseason type stuff.
Exhibition, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have an updated list on your DoorDash? Like, has there been any changes?
I stopped the list after like 3,000. Is it just became too much a pain in the ass to.
I was just curious if any of the top three changed.
Likely not. Likely not, because people love their Chipotle.
And
I just had
People-
Chipotle yesterday,
And people
So
love
good.
their Jesus chicken.
except on Sundays.
Except on Sundays, yes.
Have you tried any new restaurants because of it? Like, have you found yourself going in any new places you kind of favor or no?
Hawaiian Bros.
Okay, okay.
that's nice.
Yeah, that's one.
Mr.
No.
Euros, you eat some lamb meat and
I
some
have not done.
baklava.
I have not done Mr. Euros yet. I've done Five Guys as a result of doing
Oh,
DoorDash.
Five Guys is good. Yeah.
Uh, McAllister's. is
Oh, that's
another
pretty
one.
solid.
Yeah, that was good. What about Whataburger? Have you tried it since it moved in?
I have done Whataburger. So in this case, with Whataburger, it had nothing to do with DoorDash. It had everything to
For
do
sure.
with there's a Whataburger in Independence near the Independence Arena,
Cool.
right there at the corner of 40 going into the arena. And I stopped right there after work with the chess club. One of my chess jobs is in Blue Springs.
Oh, damn.
So after we were done, this is a lunchtime club, which is quite a rarity. After we were done, I stopped by the Whataburger on the way home. And getting into the restaurants, that's the easy part. Getting out, that's
For sure.
difficult. That's difficult. But the service there was fantastic, and they had a good hearts healthier options. So got to sub fries for onion rings. No, not onion rings, apple slices. And they did
Oh,
and
whoa.
chicken sandwich.
Okay, okay.
You did hear about that. They wound up in the hospital because of high blood pressure, right?
Oh, yeah. I think, yeah. I've seen your Facebook.
Oh yeah.
But that friggin', I think like a Whataburger is, it's kind of all hype. They're just like sauce. They just got a bunch of different sauces, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah. My mother was from Texas, and
Uh-huh.
every time we drive through Texas, there's a Whataburger pretty much everywhere.
Yeah,
Almost every major intersection, there's a Whataburger.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
my family's from Chicago, Illinois, and we would just do Steak and Shake. Like that was always just kind of. I know it's not the greatest or whatever, but like I always had fond memories of
Steak and Shake's awesome.
eating some Steak and Shake. Those little French fries are my favorite. Ooh, You hate
the
'em?
French fries.
I like the burger.
I'd rather
little
have steak
snack.
fries. I want huge fries.
Oh no, little
Steak and
horseshoe.
Shake is awesome.
string.
Dish pizza.
You dish pizza.
That's where it's at.
St. Louis style pizza is pretty solid too.
Emos.
I like a thinner crust.
I like that deep dish.
Deep dish. Oh yeah.
I've only had.
That's more Chicago deep dish. You know.
That's pizza.
Yeah. Of course, we got a couple of emos in town too. So
Yeah. I think I really enjoy a pizza shop, but like I think my new top favorite is probably like a Minsky's, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Minsky's is
Hell yeah, man.
expensive. It is expensive and it's pricey, but like it's worth it.
They do good lunch specials at Minsky's, actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to check that out.
And yeah, second ever episode of this particular podcast, I had Trevor Martin on, and we got to talk about the Minsky's commercial that he did.
Oh, cool. Oh, he filmed it? He was in it or
Yeah.
what was
Yeah,
this?
it's
Okay.
the one where Graham Zusi is delivering the pizza to the family.
Okay.
Yeah, Trevor plays the dad in that commercial.
Very cool. I'll have to check that out.
Well, guys, we do have just a couple of minutes left, unfortunately. I'm getting the countdown on my end. So,
Oh yeah, I see
Wow.
now. 7 months.
yeah. So, closing thoughts from you, gentlemen.
Closing thoughts. What would you say? You know, it was always good talking to you.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
to see you. And maybe we can get together and film something live action.
film something, we could do another podcast or just play a couple of board games over at
Oh, yeah.
tabletop.
As long as they're not 6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours.
And
Yeah.
it won't be Twilight Imperium, I swear. This takes less than an hour to play. So
Smash it.
I like that chunky.
mash up, yeah.
What is that one? Is that a game?
I'm just saying that picture.
Cthulhu, man.
That's what that is on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like a demigod, a demo, or whatever you call it, like a demon.
Yeah, kind of like an evil.
Okay.
So your homework for next time I see it, Luke, look up H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay. You have
Or
to send me some Will Wheaton playing it. I'm sure he's reviewed.
oh yeah,
it,
Will
right?
Wheaton did play Smash Up on.
Will Wheaton. All right.
Wheaton.
Hell yeah.
And Will Wheaton's actually a card in Smash Up.
Oh no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I saw a video. Apparently, his parents just like stole all his money. Like even as an adult, he didn't know he was getting all these royalty checks, and they were just cashing them.
Oh, he was in Stand By Me, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
He was in Stand By Me, but I know him best for Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Wesley
Fair
Crusher.
enough.
Yeah.
Generation.
See, that's just
All right.
I wasn't too interested in that one.
That was
Really?
Jean-Luc Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard. Yeah.
Okay.
Sir Patrick Stewart. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thanks for coming back to the podcast. Third time. So
Hell yeah.
You're the charter members of the Three Timers Club. This podcast is uncalled for. So,
Yeah. Well, it's a 3P. We gotta make it a 4P.
yeah, let's do it.
Do it in person so we don't have a time.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a great night, Steve.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. And let's welcome Dan Handley to the podcast. Dan, how are you doing?
Not too bad. You?
I'm doing good, all things considered. We could have been on a stage, but my siblings, whom I live with, decided to get COVID at the exact wrong time. So here we are.
Yeah, just sometimes they be that way. They always pick the worst times.
Yeah.
They need to work around your schedule a little bit better.
A little bit. A little bit. So, of course, we're both involved with the IFC and both been in the film community for a while.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now, you're primarily an actor, and help me out with what all you do in film.
Well, I've been a jack of most trades. I mean, I've done so much on both sides of camera. Typically, I'm an actor in front of the camera, but I've written, I've produced, I've directed, I've done boom mic, I've done composing, I've done editing, So it's like I say, jack of most trades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here, though I prefer behind the camera and writing. So, writing, directing, camera work, all that good stuff, and on occasion editing. So what were some of the films that you worked on locally?
Oh, there's been quite a few, mostly smaller stuff. A lot of times for like the one night stand or for a 48-hour film competition, things like that. A few years ago, I did direct a film that I also acted in. It was called Sleep Study, and it was kind of a Twilight Zone-esque ending type premise. And basically, the one who produced it. It was supposed to be for a collection of 4 short films. I think 2 or 3 got done. I'm not sure about the rest, but on the first one, he had a script. I was looking through it. He wanted me to play this one part, and I said, "All right, who's directing it?" He said, "Probably probably me. I said, well, I've got these visual things, these ideas that would work really well. And I started going down this. He's like, you better direct. So yeah, we ended up working together quite a bit. He'd get locations and a lot of times people to be in it, whereas I kind of just I was the director. I called in Barrett Redmond as a director of photography, and things actually went a lot better than I thought it would. So things just kind of fell into place on that.
Cool. Cool. I believe you did Iron City Chronicles as well. Huh?
Yes, I did a little bit of it. We did one version of a short film. That ended up being kind of scratched, and they started again with a different premise. And I was supposed to have a bigger role, but I ended up just being like in one scene as a bodyguard for who was originally supposed to be senator, then was later like a businessman, or I don't know, maybe it was the other way around.
Yeah.
Jeff Jeff Staub was playing that part. But yeah, my when they went kind of a new direction, my part just kind of went,
Yeah.
into just this one little shot. But I did do a lot of work behind the scenes on it up to that point.
Yeah. I, of course, had Jason on this virtual Fringe as well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, he's still very much working with the concepts and everything. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, when he's got that low of a budget and what he's got, he's really doing a good job of what I've seen so far. He's done a good job of adapting to the budget that he has, considering what his vision is, a very cyberpunk, Blade Runner type of thing. And so when you're trying to work with that low of a budget, it's not easy.
Yeah, tell me about it, Mr. Cyberpunk police procedural here. Yeah. So, you worked with Dave, right? Dave Barry.
Not directly. I've known him and seen his stuff. He's seen my stuff and that type of thing, but we never actually worked on it. Well, actually, there were two things that we worked on. One, he did did music post production, and the other thing was a music video that he directed. And I kind of did a little part in that. So yeah, I did work with him on one project directly and one project indirect. So
Cool. So I worked with Dave more than I did you. Than you did him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't talk right now. Yeah. I'd make it points of bringing Dave up whenever I have a filmmaker on, just in case. They had the pleasure of working with him. And
yeah, I've seen his stuff, and the thing is, his stuff was okay. I thought it was okay. It just wasn't my style or anything. I wasn't as much a fan of his work, but I was a fan of his because of the influence that he had, the people who were influenced by him, and who he's encouraged and who became, great local filmmakers based off of his guidance. So the effect he's had on the local film community is going to last for years to come.
Yeah.
Maybe indefinitely. So I mean, I can't say I was a fan of his work, but I was a fan of his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a couple of projects that one especially he asked me to do. I said absolutely not. That was the one. It was called Prey. Which involved, he wanted me to be the guy that was drugged to death, and then so I was like, absolutely not. Yes.
Yeah. He always had some wild ideas,
Yeah.
I think this year was the previous one after it was the first one night stand after they passed. There was a group of people who normally worked with them and they did one that was very much his style. And so I was like, that was an excellent tribute. That was a Dave Barry legacy team right there, and it worked so well in his style.
That's
It's
awesome.
perfect.
That's awesome. Too bad I was busy this year with other stuff. I'm pretty busy on Saturdays now, so yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That happens.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I wanted to talk about was martial arts, because we're both influenced by the
Yeah.
martial arts.
Oh,
I do recall a project at JUCO about 10 years ago. That was a capoeira demonstration, and I was asked to
yes.
shoot video on that. And looking at it, I was like, then, are you sure this is a style of fighting? Because it looks like they're dancing and got music going and all that stuff. Whereas me, I came from karate. You don't get that. You really don't get dancing and karate and everything. So,
Yeah. About the closest you come to dancing is kata, but kata is very practical when you use it as a shadow boxing and learning your techniques. Because I studied Shotokan karate for quite some time, but I also trained in capoeira. Now capoeira is a different it's a different mindset because it was a different origin. Whereas you have your karate was in a very harsh time. Your modern karate is more, 150 years old, but it was rooted in Okinawan fighting because way back when, Japanese people weren't as polite as they are today. There was a lot of fighting going on.
yeah.
And everybody from the samurai down to the villagers had to learn how to fight. This, but that is where the karate came from. Is they had to use their empty hands
Yep.
against stronger fighters, and so that was that. But capoeira was something completely different. This was in the days of slavery. Slavery was all over the world. I mean, Europeans were taken as slaves into Africa, and then Africans were taken into the West as slaves. But would but the history of slavery in Africa, the uh, East India Trading Company go way over to the Ashanti on the West Coast and say, "We've got gold. What have you got?" And they say, "Oh, we've got slaves." So slavery was sent over, and out of Angola, some of those were sent to Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And in Brazil, they were forced to work in harsh conditions and this type of thing. Well, they wanted a way to fight back against their slave masters,
Mm-hmm.
but they couldn't practice fighting without getting caught. So they disguised it. They played it as a game, but it was done to music like a dance.
Wow.
But they're actually practicing deadly kicks and all this stuff. But whenever the slave master saw them, they would be like, "Yeah, they're letting loose. It makes them better workers." Okay, not even realizing that they were getting ready to kill their slave masters and their uprising. There
Wow.
actually was an uprising where a lot of these slaves beat their masters, and got free, and they formed these colombos, which are these communities of freed slaves. And so that was off of capoeira, and capoeira even though Brazil ended slavery in 1888, they were one of the last countries to do it. Capoeira was still illegal. It was still the street mafia type of thing up until the 1930s with Minister Bemba, who went before the Sporting Council and got it to labeled as an official sport, which then legalized it. And so it's developed and spread since then. So it's not as much a practical martial art as it is a fun one. It's just so fun to do. It's a game, it's a dance, it's singing, it's clapping, so it gets you in shape, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I brought up empty hand, which is literally what karate translates to. brings to mind one as someone who studied Japanese, in part because of my studying karate. The word karaoke is the same kara as in karate. So
The empty, the karate means open or empty. Yeah. But and the thing is, I mentioned the old style versus the new style. The new style is like anywhere from 100 to 150 years old, depending on which style
Mhm.
you do. Now, Shorin-ryu is like 1930s, whereas Shotokan is 1920s. You know, some before that. But these are the dos, the as opposed to the jitsus.
Mhm.
You know, the jutsus versus the dos. The jitsu means the method, where do means the way.
Yep.
And so the big difference is it's nowadays it's more of a, excuse me, a philosophical type of thing. You have your karate do, your judo, your aikido. Even in the Korean has picked that up with taekwondo,
Taekwondo.
the way of the foot and the fist, and then and tang do and hapkido and things like that. Whereas the jitsus were more practical. It was the hard fighting. That's your jujitsu. That's your ninjutsu. That's your aiki jujitsu, which
Yep.
aikido was formed from. So they're you got to make that distinction on the dos, because I mean it's two different philosophies, even though they're integrated martial arts.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's pretty cool. And I didn't really stop to think about that, but yeah, that's pretty awesome to learn.
yeah, yeah, because when it comes down to it, martial arts, any fighting is punch, kick, grapple, wrestle.
Yep.
Those make up everything. And you get to something like Aikido was formed from Aiki Jiu-Jitsu. Aiki Jiu-Jitsu is brutal.
Mhm.
It is it is super brutal. But Aikido was made to be a gentle way of practicing martial arts from a like a spiritual and fitness standpoint without being violent. And so they use the grappling, the throws, this type of thing. But in order to make it practical, you got to go back to the Aiki Jiu-Jitsu with the punching and the kicking and all
Mhm.
that.
That's true. And for anyone who's never seen Aikido, I strongly suggest at least going to a demonstration once in your life, because it says some pretty cool stuff. Lots of falling and grappling, like these. I said it is pretty cool.
Yeah, I did a demonstration one time. It was actually for a church message, believe it or not. He was talking about spiritual jujitsu, and
Mhm.
so a guy I know who in Goju was at the time he was ninth degree black belt. He's now since become 10th degree top level. But he and I went up on stage and he did Aikido on me. So
Mm.
I was the throwing dummy. So my experience with Aikido, I've practiced some of the grappling and that type of thing, but my big really experience with Aikido was I was beat up. You know, got that on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that, and yeah, you're right. There's a lot of philosophy that's behind all of it and everything. I would I would suggest Sun Tzu as a good starting points for anyone who's interested in getting into martial arts. Period, whether it's Brazilian or Japanese or Chinese, Korean, whatever. Sun Tzu is a good place to start, I think.
Well, Sun Tzu is pretty brutal, but it's a good way, good good form of kung fu. So uh, it's if done properly, yeah, it's brutal. But yeah, it is a good. If you want to get into the Chinese styles, into the wushu, Sansu is a good way to get in because it's not as physically demanding up front.
Mhm.
So
And Jeet Kune Do, are you familiar with that one?
a bit, yes. That was actually primarily Bruce Lee, but others like
Yeah.
Dan Inosanto and others. In fact, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar even helped contribute to it because they were students of his and worked with him on it. But yeah, that was the all-encompassing.
Mhm.
It's you have your style, but it's more of a application type of thing. Because he used the Wing Chun, but the Wing Chun, but other styles can be adapted with Jeet Kune Do. But Jeet Kune Do is more of a practical. It's a
Mhm.
practical application of style. So yeah,
And there's another
I'm
dough that
somewhat
we
familiar.
forgot about. Yeah, that's another dough. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The way, and a lot of them, and even though Jeet Kune Do is more of a jutsu type of philosophy, it was done in the modern day by a kung fu practitioner. And so, yeah, he's going to go by the way. So,
Oh, cool. Now, now bringing this back to film, has martial arts helped in your filmmaking or your acting?
well, when I first was starting out, well, I've done video stuff before. I wanted to be a filmmaker since I was a kid.
Mhm.
My dad was a professional photographer. Excuse me. He was a professional photographer, and he got into videography that way. Me, I wanted to be a filmmaker,
Mhm.
and I got into it that way. So we both had a similar interest. We set up video at church and all this stuff, but it wasn't until 2008 that I got involved with the IFC.
Mhm.
I went in to work behind the camera. I spend most of the time in front of it, though. One of the thing was I was training in not only martial arts but also in parkour. People were like, "Yes, we can throw you around and you'll enjoy it." Yeah, And so it took me a long time before I survived a role. They're like, "Hey, we killed someone, called in," But so and that was kind of how I got involved in the acting to begin with. Now I tend to survive roles, but back then I had that unique um, thing about me where they can bring me in and I can do some stunt work or something like that, or do a death scene, whatever. And so that's kind of how I got into it, and then it just sort of snowballed from there. So it's a good way to start out.
I guess. And parkour, that's the jumping off buildings thing, right?
Well, parkour is just the idea is moving from point A to point B as quickly and efficiently as possible using only
Mhm.
human body. Well, then off of that comes free riding, which is more expressive, more, and that's when you see people doing the flips and all the stylistic jumping off of buildings type of thing. But you know, you got to be good to do that. And whenever you see those videos where they're just doing all this wild stuff, they're doing this a bit as a filmmaker. You do a bit at a time.
Yeah.
You don't have all those cameras set up. You
No.
just have a single camera getting a shot, same camera getting this shot, and they do multiple takes, just like anything else, until they get it right to where it looks good. Because they're the first thing they're thinking about is safety above all. Now, you get injured just like any other thing. I was at a parkour jam and some security guy out on a Segway, came out and says what we are doing. And I said what we're doing. Says, is it dangerous? I'm like, well, one of the top things we worry about is safety. All the moves are designed to be, you know, safe, this type of thing first and foremost, and then practical on top of that. And right as I said that, one of our guys who is a parkour instructor went into a roll and did it wrong and got injured. he screwed up his he went straight down, screwed up his shoulder right as I was explaining how we focus on safety.
Oh man.
You talk about timing.
Yeah.
And you probably know Jake because he was one of the stunt guys with Dax and all. So yeah, but it was Jake that did it.
Wow. Fun times, fun times. Yeah, you could pretty much get hurt in just about anything. Because I mean, left knee football. So tackling.
Yeah, I mean, any sport of physical activity can get injured.
Yep.
And the thing is, parkour is actually a lot safer than most anything else because there's the focus on doing it right, doing it safe, doing it, and there's technique to it. There's a particular technique. Like when you see somebody drop down and then they roll out of it, what that is, if you ever see gymnastics do the floor routines and they do the flips across and then they flip up in the air and all that, what they're doing is they're building momentum and then they redirect that momentum vertically. This is just the opposite. When you have somebody do a drop, they go into a safety roll.
Mhm.
And what happens is when they take that vertical energy and redirect it sideways, then that roll where it goes to the shoulder to the opposite hip, not only do they come right up into a running position, but that roll dissipates that energy. And so, I mean, it's all these little detail things, when you land, there's a certain technique, but I tell people as long as you can do it quietly. Because if you hear the impact, that's the energy being shot up through your knees, your hips, into your back, all that. But if it's quiet, like ninja quiet, it
Yeah.
means you dissipated that energy properly, and it's a safer landing. So yeah, there's all these things about it that are just safety, safety, safety before you get into the wild, the flips and the wall spins and all that stuff. So
Good deal. Good deal. Yep. And yeah, playing a ninja is cool. I did that with Tails. I played a ninja in a couple of my episodes, and yeah, that was fun. Wielding a ninja sword and yeah,
Yep.
yeah, doing a little bit of fighting action. But yeah, I say safety first. You got to be careful not to accidentally slice one of your actors in half because it's a real sword. That's literally you're holding a giant knife on you.
They can get those razor sharp. In fact, there were legend has it. I don't know how real it was, but legend has it that there were some samurai, even ninja, who would take a cloth, throw it up in the air, and slice it with a
Mhm.
sword. And then they would look at it and look for phrase. If there were any phrase, they go back to sharp
Yep.
because I mean it's supposed to just go straight through.
Yep.
Now, granted, you have two fulcrums. You have not only the swing but also with the wrists
Mhm.
to go through it, to give it any more power. But nonetheless, it's a sharp. They get that thing razor sharp so that it goes straight through. It's not medieval, Scottish flame or
No,
something that's
that's
more blunt
that's
force.
stuff we do today when we sharpen knives. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. But it's like your sword fighting in the medieval Europe. Those were, although they were edged, they were more blunt force
Mhm.
because they were nowhere near as sharp. Whereas the Japanese, they went razor sharp.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yep. Something else I was thinking about, switching topics a little bit here. I do recall we having a discussion at IFC one time about talking about my female troubles, and then you said something. Well, you've had more success than I have with women.
Yeah,
Remember that? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's
Well, you
that's like
you know what it's like having autism. The high functioning autism. But
yes.
then when you have somebody like me who's not only personality type, Sigma, INTP with J, uh, Enneagram 4 wing 5, I've got that introverted nature.
Mhm.
Uh, but at the same time, you have the autism, but also ADHD and the anxiety on top of it.
Mhm.
And it makes holding down a relationship almost impossible.
Yeah.
So and so it's one of those things I can't even do the dating thing, as I've always wanted, be the husband, father, that type of thing, but I can't do the dating, and when it comes to kids, I like kids, I just don't like dealing with kids, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's my job.
because
That's what I do with the
Yeah.
chess club, is dealing with other people's kids. Yeah. Yeah.
well, it's not as much that, but it's my senses get overwhelmed, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
And you know, if I'm sitting watching a speaker and a baby cries, that speaker becomes background noise. You know, ADHD is not good. Throw it in with the autism and the anxiety, it's horrible. And so you get these things where you're overwhelmed by certain things, but you can't really connect with people,
Mm.
you know. And so doing the relationship thing just doesn't work for me
Yeah.
as much as I would like it to.
And yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Like I think I told you, yeah, uh, I'd be lucky to get a second date with someone. So yeah.
Yeah, I did 2 dates with somebody, and that didn't go anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
and that's about my entire dating life as an adult. You know, that's so.
Sadly, the first girl I ever dated, I learned passed away in December.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, yeah, two women I've dated have been on the podcast. So,
It's always a good thing to do.
Mhm.
Hey, here's their follow up. Let's talk it in front of the world. Yeah.
And
But yeah, it's for those who can pull it off, great. I'm just not one who can pull it off.
yeah, uh, I keep I keep trying. I keep trying. That's all I can do. I can do. I
Yeah,
have
that's all you can do.
I have been involved in a singles group lately, organizing board game nights and stuff, and uh, that's all. That's all in good fun and everything. Would I actually date these women? Probably not. But the important thing is I'm out there trying to work on the social skills and everything, and maybe, just maybe, gets to that point. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's tough being on the spectrum and all that good stuff. So,
It is. People don't realize how bad it is, and you throw in other neurological things like I say ADHD and that, and especially when they conflict. You
Mhm.
know, you have the autism, you got to have a structure and this type of thing, whereas the ADHD wants to be more impulsive, and they actually fight each other. You
Right.
know, and I get the executive dysfunction where I can just be, I know what I want to write, you know, working on a script or a proposal or whatever, and I'm just sitting. I know I've got it all in my head, but I'm just sitting there looking at a blank screen for 2 hours, and I cannot get my fingers to type, you know. And when I do, it's a huge chore, you know. So I mean, it's the just the neurodiversity. When you're neurodiverse, it's a little bit difficult. That's all there is to it. And people who are neurotypical just don't understand. But then again, it's almost like if somebody's blind, you know, how does a person who can see grasp how they live their lives? You know, how if somebody's confined to a wheelchair, how do you grasp how they can get through their lives when you're so used to being able to walk?
Mhm.
So when you're neurotypical and not neurodiverse, it's hard to imagine what neurodiversity is like.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And we just have a couple more minutes left to go, so I guess we'll end on the geek culture side of things for a little bit, because I'm a massive Trekkie, and uh,
Yeah.
enjoying all the new stuff that's been coming out. And I don't know if you can see real well, but I've got Anson Mount's signature right there.
Nice.
Yeah. All I did
Yeah,
was
I haven't been able to keep up on the new stuff on Trek.
Mhm.
I'd like to go back and catch up, but I was
Yeah.
raised on Star Trek because my dad was a Trek and he's keeping up on the new stuff. But I grew up also with Star Wars,
Yeah,
fact, that's
yeah,
what
Star
made me,
Wars.
that's
too,
what
yeah.
made me want to be a filmmaker. Because I mean, it was just so epic. It was such a wonderful film, but at the same time, the first movie came out just before I turned 1 year old, but they had all so with each of the movies, they had these things, not only books, but television specials on the making of it. And
Yeah.
you could see the magic. And that's what it was. It was magic.
Yeah.
I mean, this was not illusions, this was sorcery. But it's something I wanted to get my hands on and try it, and do this. And so Star Wars had a huge effect. Star Trek, superheroes, growing up with Super Friends and comic books, and so I mean later on, I mean right around like 2012, I got into Doctor Who. So I consider myself a newbie
Cool.
of the full Who. So, I mean, yeah, I get,
Yeah.
but Trek is always huge influence.
Yeah.
Huge influence on so many ways. I'm so big into science technology, and that really got me into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I think it's a great way to leave things off. So thank you, Dan, for being on the podcasts. And
Absolutely, anytime.
yeah, and I will talk to you soon, right? At the next IFC meetings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Take it easy. Hi, everybody, welcome to the podcast, and welcome Omega Edwards to the podcast. Omega, how goes it?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So we'll start with how I met you in the first place. A little thing called Tales from the Interim Net. You are, by my counts, the 6th Tales actor I've had on the podcast. So, and that list will keep growing. Trust me. Yeah. Do you remember what part you played?
Yeah, I remember it was before the beard. It was I remember Diane. She was Madam Professor, I believe. Right,
Yeah,
right.
Madam. Yeah, the Mother
Your
Confessor.
film was my first one. Your film was my first film I ever worked on.
There you, that is awesome. And folks, Tales from the Interim Net, episode Tau, Pedestal of Holiness. You'll see Omega there. Caroline was in that episode as well. She's been on the podcast. And Ellen, I've asked about getting her on the podcast. Still working on that. Maybe next season.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
That's dope.
So
It was long ago. Wow, it was almost what, 6? I want to say 6 years ago.
6 going on 7. We shot that in 2015.
What? It was that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. The only thing changed was my beard. You still look the same.
Yeah.
I look like I aged for both of us.
Right. So I was your first acting gig. That's awesome. What have you done since, acting wise?
After you, it was Guardians of the Galaxy. I went down to Atlanta to film the second one, Volume 2. I played a Ravager in that movie, and then I did my own project, which was Street Runners. And we got accepted into the Kansas City Film International, the International KC Film Fest, and we won an award. And then I worked on another project. It's called The Best Day of Your Life, and that one won. We got accepted into the film festival again, or my second time in it, and it did good. It won an award itself. So now we're going to be premiering it downtown LA. So a lot of projects, and just kept going.
Cool. Now talk a little bit about I guess you're into rap music now. And
Yeah. I guess, when I was in the film world, they always said find things to keep you busy because I guess, between post-production and, the time of, just getting it edited and marketing and getting it submitted into film festivals, right? You have too much leisure time on your hand and you're waiting for projects to come out that might take a year or 2 years. So I started exploring hidden talent that I really haven't used. I learned from my older brother because, he was real good at it, but I never applied it myself. So then I took it upon myself to kind of pick up the sword he put down, start sharpening and using it. And it turned out to be bigger than what I thought it was. I mean, I'd have done a lot of stuff in the music industry in just 2 years time.
awesome.
So yeah, it's taking off. There's a lot going on in the music industry for me right now. It's like more than what I can keep up in the film side.
Good deal. And if I recall correctly, you have an album coming out soon.
Yeah. So just touch on that. That album was released last year, December 2nd, and it got a hold to us. Well, GT Digital, which is a small company that's blowing up rapidly fast as far as the music industry. It started in Houston and now is blowing up rapidly fast with the Latin culture. And they've been really gravitating to the rap industry, and Empire is trying to deal with them as far as marketing, promotion, and artists. So Gold Toes heard one of my songs, which is the head guy of GT Digital. He loves music, and he, I guess, talked it over with, one of the guys at Empire. They offered me a deal on the table, and I signed the deal. And now I have that same album re-releasing tomorrow under Empire, the record label.
Nice. And just timestamp for my audience. Tomorrow would be July 30th. So it will be out. So it will definitely be out by the time this gets out, whether it's virtual Fringe or just on the podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been a long journey, and the good thing I love about when I created this album, it was really taking old pieces of my life, my story, like, and just bringing it to surface. But I'm able to tell a story, like an auto book of Omega. So you get to really dive deep into who I am, and like, you get a little bit of the raunchy, you get a little bit of the rap, but you also get my soul. You get everything of me. Like you get the spiritual side of me, which leads to my second album.
Second album, all right.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Did I read somewhere that you're originally from St. Louis?
Born and raised.
All right. And you're in LA now, right?
Bro, I moved from St. Louis to Kansas City, went from Kansas City to Atlanta, came back to Kansas City, and now I'm in LA.
That's quite the journey. Yeah. Never been to Atlanta or LA myself. Of course, KC is home for me, born and raised here. And St. Louis is my second favorite city after Kansas City. Love it.
That's dope. You know what? In the rebuttal to that, Kansas City has became like a second home to me because you guys' culture adopted me. Like, even though I'm from St. Louis, and sometimes people from Kansas City say, I can't understand how you talk, like, because of the country grammar, but you know what? They embraced me. KC Film really took me in and loved my projects, my music. Everybody's starting to gravitate to my music. I work with a lot of Kansas City artists, people that work under Tech Nine. His producer worked with me. So I worked with his video guy, Victor Dominguez, who also shot Tech Nine's in The Rock's Face Off video. So I got to work with a lot of different people, and that's all through Kansas City. So it's big shout out to Kansas City.
Yeah. So my big connection with St. Louis, aside from going there for a couple times for some video work and a couple conventions, mostly Rams games, because I used to be a big Rams fan, and then Stan lies them back to LA, and I can't stand him no more. but yeah, especially those Greatest Show on Turf Rams. Those were my Rams with Warner and Falcon. Oh, that's
Okay, so you know something, okay. See, it's like with the Mo, we all under the same house. We just, just spread it out. We're two different kids. One's a little bit more different than more urban, one's more, Bay, but we're still under the house of Mo. So we're still the same people.
Oh yeah. And then after St. Louis, I'd say my second best city would be Houston. And that's because and that's mostly because I have a family in Houston. I spent a week there when my grandmother was passing. Great city, great affinity for their teams too. In fact, the only NBA game I ever went to was a Houston Rockets game. They're playing New York, and that was when they had Yao and McGrady were on the team.
Ooh, those are OG names. Okay, you got to see T-Mac. Okay.
Yeah.
Houston, you know what? I've been once for it was like to help some people move for us that flood, and I can honestly say I love Houston. My brother, he moved there as well, and he loves Houston. The food is amazing. I just can't wait to go back. I just really can't. The culture, everything about Houston is it's hospitality. I want to take care of you. So I'm down with the H-Town.
Yeah. Houston's a great town. Other parts of Texas, not so much. Had a bad experience in San Antonio. Really don't care to come back.
What?
Yeah.
I've never been. I heard great things. I've never been though.
Yeah. My experience was solely at the airport, which really is in the middle of nowhere. It's tiny as heck, and that wasn't even my destination. The full story is I was going to Minneapolis, another great city, by the way, Minneapolis, Minnesota. To and from, had to take connectors at O'Hare in Chicago, and on the way back, got kicked off my KCI flights. I had to stay in Chicago overnight, and the only connector that was available was San Antonio.
So what did you do? Did you just sit at the airport?
I was just, aside from having to go through security and have my bags checked by security,
TSA,
sitting around for a couple of hours waiting for the plane to get there to take me back to KCI.
I understand the airport. Yeah. I can get how a trip can go south just by a bad airport experience. So
Oh yeah.
It just happened. To be honest, it just happened last weekend when I was supposed to come to do this same interview last weekend. We missed the flight
before the live shows got canceled. So yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's not because I got COVID, because I didn't at this time around. I got it back in April. It really didn't affect me all that much. But my sister and my brother, I live with my two siblings, and they both got it, and that's what happened.
Oh man, God, yeah, that COVID. Shoot, I'm staying away from it as much as possible. I don't want to deal with it. In LA, it's just like, because they just almost mask free. I'm scared of a sneeze. It's like a sneeze was scary. And it's like, whoa up now.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. You gotta be careful with that. So yeah, that's the story of what happened. And other cities, DC, I had a great time with that. I was a sophomore in high school when I went to DC.
I've never been DC.
Yeah, it's a great city. Great city. We should go sometime. my father's from Pittsburgh, so I kind of a lot of people assume that I'm from the East Coast because I kind of affected a little of my father's accent. But yeah, he's from Steeltown.
Oh, I mean, you do have that rough, like DMX kind of talk, like you just rough with it. So I'm like, okay, like you can hear it like scratchy, but it's like rough. Like I know what you mean when it comes to accents because I have country grammar. So when they hear the there and her, and it's just like, oh man, yeah, you're a Southern guy. So
Right.
even in LA, people ask you talk. Like, can I talk? He from St. Louis, say something, say her, say there like Nelly. No.
And one other thing about St. Louis, I mentioned that this was the week I was there for a video job. I was at the Metrolink station there by the Dome, and there was a guy there. I said, told him I'm from Kansas City, and he said, "Oh, Game 6, 85."
Oh, he went into
Yeah.
St. Louis people are like, it's just like, oh, it's a good sports like competitiveness when it comes to St. Louis and Kansas City because we had a championship team. I mean, it's still ours. I don't care what nobody says. Like LA won one, but we won it first. That's how I feel.
Damn right.
So you guys got 2 rings, so it's kind of like we, it's like this. It's like we're the mold. No, we're the top dog. It's going to constantly be that. But I can honestly say Mahomes has converted a lot of Rams fans to St. Louis.
I'll bet because the sense I get is that a lot of people are just pissed off at the NFL. They don't want to have anything to do with it. And I could see a good portion of becoming Chiefs fans, if not because of Mahomes, because of the whole show me states thing.
Right.
Everything.
It's a rival.
I did not follow the turn to the Chiefs after the move because Clark Hunt, the owner, said, "Oh, there should only be one team in LA," and the only person talking about doing one team in LA was Stan. So, no, I adopted the other former St. Louis team after the Rams left. Cardinals. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I believe we had the Arizona Cardinals before they went to become the Arizona Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. But don't. Yeah,
No,
don't
that's
make me
correct.
say
That's absolutely correct.
That's not set in stone. It's just a rumor I heard.
No, that's
I don't know how
absolutely
much
correct.
truth that is.
The Cardinals, the football Cardinals, they started life in Chicago, then came to St. Louis for a good 28 years before moving out to Arizona. So yeah.
I mean, you know your history, okay?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Man,
I I love pro football history. So much so, 99, going back to the year we won the title, I went to Canton, Ohio, because one of my favorite players as a kid was Eric Dickerson, and that was also the year he was being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I got to go and see that. And that was,
man, that's back in the day.
Yeah.
Hey, salute to you. You're original. you are original.
Yeah. Good to hear. Yeah. And that trip was also the last time I was in Pittsburgh, visiting relatives out there. So it was go to the ceremony, then spend the rest of the weekend in Pittsburgh, come back to Cleveland, cheer at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then come back to Canton for the Hall of Fame game. And
that's a lot of moving.
Well, not really. Cleveland and Pittsburgh are pretty close to each other, about about the same as Casey in St. Louis, almost.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It's what,
Canton,
about
it's like
3
just
and a
down the
half
street.
hours?
Yeah,
About 3
it's
to 4
it's a
hours?
4-hour drive. 4-hour drive, yeah. So.
Okay. Interesting. I would never guess that. Hey, you learn something new every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Judy. All right. So we talked rap, we talked film. Are there any projects that you're any film projects that you're currently working on that you can talk about, or
Film projects that I'm currently working on, yes. So right now I am working with Maverick Movies and Maverick Entertainments. They have a deal with the production company Boo Boo Kitty Production, which is based in Texas. They have a show that they're working on called The Agony and the Ecstasy. It's kind of like it's a romantic kind of drama. There's a little bit of comedy in it because people have a lot of little things they throw out here and there, but for the most part, it's a drama series, and it's basically about a young girl that's dealing with mental health issues, where she's basically facing her alter ego in real life situations, and she can't decipher the difference. But her boyfriend is a street thug who's basically slanging and making his way. And he's trying to use all that money to start a record label. He wants to get into the music business. My character come in as Nate the Show Moore, which is basically the hottest producer in the city. I have 2 of the greatest artists from the city called Fountain City, Missouri.
yeah.
Bunch of fountains everywhere. That's what it's known for, a bunch of fountains.
Yep.
So we're filming around a lot of fountains. So right now, my character is basically playing a hot producer that's going to help the main character's boyfriend elevate his career, get him started with a record label. But me and him kind of bump heads because of the fact that one night when we were celebrating, everything was going good, and our artist got into it. One of his artists got into one of my artists. Basically a shootout happened. A girl got killed. And it was my artist's girlfriend, and he goes to jail. So then that starts trouble with my label, and now me and him bump heads, and it's a lot, man. It's a lot going on. I'm producing this film. I'm co-directing on I would say 2 or 3 episodes, not many, but I'm also acting as well. So it's a good project. It has a lot of raw new talent, but the talent we have on this project is amazing. Like, we got a girl that's the lead role, and she's basically about to be a finalist in the DJ Khaled's contest that she's working on for music. And we have another guy who's basically being a rising artist from Kansas City, and he got things going on in his world. So I don't know too much, but I'm just following what's on Facebook, and he's making articles and headlines and stuff like that. So we have a lot of good talent on this project, and it's something worth seeing in the next, I would say, year and a half we have it done.
Sounds about right. Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah, right now I'm just focusing on this podcast. Video work's been slow lately for obvious reasons. And I've been doing some other jobs too. So yeah.
Yeah, so how's the show with what we worked on? Are we gonna ever pick back up, or because I missed it?
So what happened? So fortunately, your episode is out, so you can watch it right now. I'll send you the link after we're done. And
okay.
Yeah, I managed to get 9 episodes total done. We just never picked the rest of it back up. In parts because people were moving out to LA, and I can't blame them.
I mean, yeah, I understand. I'm out here, so I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, hey man, I'm all for it. Man, that was that was the start of the whole Omega thing. I remember when you sent me the shot and they had my name, Lawrence Omega Elvis, I was like,
yeah,
my name is on the credit. This is my first credit. this is legit. I'm a legit actor. So
All
thank
right.
you, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Glad to hear that. All right.
You gotta give credit where credit is due. I pay my homage to anyone that has any kind of help or influence in the Omega brand. And you were one of the first ones that gave me my very first role at that church. And the funny thing about that is the movie that we just shot and won an award with, and that's premiering downtown LA. We
Right.
shot it at that same church. And
Oh, you
that's
shot
when
the Pilgrim Chapel. Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. And funny enough, I found out about the Pilgrim Chapel from another film shoot with Richie Wolf and Sam Toddy. That
name sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that name sounds familiar.
Well, Sam has been quite active in the local film community and has expressed interest in being on the podcast too. And Richie's been pretty active as well. I worked with both of them at JUCO, doing student media. Richie directed. Sam was the lead in this particular film. He was a vampire who came to the church thinking that communion served the literal blood of Christ.
What?
Yeah.
Man, everybody's been working.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. And funny enough, about at the top of the hill behind that church is a Catholic school, Notre Dame de Sion, where I've taught a lot of chess classes. So
Oh,
that's one of the
you got
jobs
some
I'm doing when I'm not
you
doing.
marking your territory.
Yeah, that's one of the jobs I do when I'm not doing film or podcasting. Is I teach chess. So
Jack of all trades, man.
yeah.
Well, shoot, right now in the off season, man, I'm just taking time, just spend time with the family. We're in LA now, so I'm working out. I'm just back in the gym, training hard. And I have another show that I signed up for. We did it back in last year in May. It's called TNT Jackson. They redid the old TNT Jackson in the 70s with Gene Bell, and they redid it, and I'm in that as well. So after doing all these films and stuff, and that film is coming out soon as well on Amazon Prime. Right. So after doing all that stuff, man, you just need a break, man. And then I miss training. That's my love, that's my passion, just being in the gym and hitting the iron, just going hard.
Yeah, that's something I need to get back to is some semblance of shape. I need to lose a little weight, if for no other reason, to handle my blood pressure. So, yeah.
Just start with cardio. Just don't even touch the weight yet. Just start with some cardio, man, and just ease your way in. Don't dive in like everybody else.
I've been doing like walks in the park and just walking around. Everything. So
cutting grass. Anything, man, just anything just to get you active first. When I used to train clients, I tell them all the time, don't dive into nothing. You won't go and just dive in the middle of the ocean without knowing what's at the bottom of it, because you don't know what's at the bottom of it. So my thing is take your time, learn the ins and outs, master the stuff first. Don't just, see a big guy like me or another bigger guy than me and just like, I want to do what he's doing. Don't do that. That's ego lifting and no. Right. So that's what I do on my off season. I just train and spend time with my family. That's my joys.
All right. Good deal. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I wrap this up? Or?
Oh man, I just miss talking to you, bro. It's cool. I'm vibing with you, bro. So cool.
Yeah.
It's whatever, man.
All right.
So there's more to come, and whenever you out in LA, man, just holler at me.
I just need to get out to LA at some point. Yeah, definitely. And likewise, if you're in KC, just let me know.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you put me on this. Thank you.
All right. I'm glad you came on. All right.
Peace, man. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, and welcome Amy Bell to the podcast. So,
Thanks for having me.
mhm.
I'm excited.
So am I. So let's start with let's start by talking politics, because we're both former candidates for office, and in fact, that's kind of how we met in the first place, was through politics. Now, you ran for the Kansas House, right?
Yes.
What years?
2012 and 2014.
All right. Now remind me because I know you lost both races, and I think it was Barbara Bollier's district, right?
It was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same Barbara Bollier who recently tried to run as a Democrat for the U.S. Senate. And if I'm not mistaken, she won both those races. Remind me, were you primaried for either of those races?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's the because being primary, that is the crux of what got me pissed off with the local party.
Really?
Yep.
See, I basically what got me into running for office is I just happened into the Johnson County Democratic breakfast, like the
Mhm.
second Saturday.
Yep.
And they were talking about races where they didn't have candidates running, and that they were needing volunteers for those races. And I was like, you mean if nobody runs, then we just get a Republican representative without like no option? And they're like, yeah, those races are just gonna be handed to the Republicans. So I said, okay, well, my area doesn't have one. I volunteer, right? And I was treated like crap by the party. And when I volunteered to run, the redistricting hadn't happened, where Barbara Bollier was the opponent. When I initially signed up, it was Kay Wolf was supposed to be my opponent. And the redistricting that year put Barbara Bollier into my district after I had already filed to run. And so all of these people got really angry with me for running against Barbara Bollier. And I was like, wait a minute, isn't she is a Republican, right? Like last I checked, she is a Republican. And they're like, yeah, but we like her. She's going to bring all the moderate Republicans over to the Democratic Party for us. And I was like, well, that doesn't actually sound good enough to me. Like, I feel like we should have proper, more left-leaning representation. And people were furious. I was like, people spread rumors about me being anti-choice. In the 2014 race, I think it was the 2014 race. It was one of the gubernatorial race years. It might have been 2012. I can't remember. But one of the like progressive caucus or leaders was telling people that I was the reason Sam Brownback won. It was
Nonsense.
absolutely like if I had that much power, you know. So like it wasn't the primarying that got me. It was actually I was the only Democrat in the race, and they still didn't like me. Like it was a really unpleasant experience with the party. Now, the community was perfectly supportive, right? And you know, you'd go knock on doors and they'd say things like, oh, well, yeah, you know, we like Barbara and all, but we're Democrats and we'd really like to see some more Democrat policies in place. I was like, yeah, me too. But the party itself was just ridiculous. So what happened with your primary?
Okay, so we're talking 2016 in my
Okay.
case, and it was for state senate. I live in the 21st Senate District. currently represented by Dinah Sykes, who, like Barbara Bollier, started off as a Republican, then switched to Democrat. Looking to unseat Greg Smith.
Yeah.
And we both know how terrible he is.
Oh yeah. He was one of the authors of some of the worst sort of legislation that the Kansas House passed during that era. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, basically January 2nd, 2015, I filed to run for that seat. And then about a year later, so 2016, some punk kid shows up and decides, yeah, I'm going primary this guy. And the party pretty much, yeah. Yeah, not to mention all the disrespect that came to like he sent volunteers to my house, and they didn't allow me to talk at the caucus. Only with some finagling by the Bernie campaign was I allowed to speak to a certain cadre of caucus goers. Just 100% disrespect from this kid, and I wound up losing in the primary. So come the general election, Dinah Sykes wins the primary against Greg Smith on the Republican side, and I was like, I cannot support this punk
Yeah.
running against me, so I go and support Dinah, who again, like Barbara Bollier, is far enough to the center that she could easily switch parties, and as we both know, she did. After all the election nonsense, Dinah got elected, and I try to get myself back on the e-board to make sure that's at the executive board of the Johnson County Democratic Party, which, full disclosure, I had served on for 4 years when Gene Raridan was in the State House. And said punk kid's father decided to run against me and use the fact that I supported Dinah against me from being on the e-board. And my rebuttal is simply, well, if your kid hadn't treated me with the level of disrespect that he did, then maybe things would have been different. But no, you chose to be disrespectful. You chose to send volunteers to my house. You chose to not let me speak at a caucus event. You had volunteers at said caucus telling people, hey, sign my petition or you can't vote. No, fuck that, and fuck you. And didn't say those words specifically, but you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So I only got 2 votes from everyone that was there, and the writing was on the wall. I could not, still can't really stand to be around the guy. Well, 1 year later, same punk kid decides, oh, I'm going to run for OP City Council, and the son of a bitch got elected. And then just last year,
OP City Council is such a cluster.
Yeah. Then just last year, I decided, oh, I'm going, here's an opportunity. I can unseat said punk kid from the city council at the last minute this time. And again, another primary, because it was a crowded, nonpartisan, I should say, race, and finished dead last. That's okay, because I was part of a coalition, the Coalition for a Better Overland Park, which I'm still technically part of. So a coalition of a nonpartisan coalition of other candidates running for different seats throughout Overland Park, and only a couple of them got elected. Unfortunately, another candidate from the coalition, his name is Ryan Spencer, was also had one in the primary, but lost in the general. Too sad, punk kid. All right, so I have no problem. So this is a little bit about me. I have no problem supporting Republican candidates if I feel the Democrats is completely unworthy, and this guy I feel is completely unworthy of being in office. And for his apologists to come and attack me for that, well, fuck them too. You know.
You know, when in situations like that arise, I leave those races blank. And yeah, nobody's getting my vote here.
Mhm.
I'm just done with the blue no matter who nonsense.
Mhm. I agree.
I think that got us a lot of well, I'll just say I can't stand Joe Biden. I'm still upset that he got the presidential nominee.
Mhm.
And you know, almost anyone else in the race over Joe Biden I would have been happier with.
Okay.
Like they managed to get the worst choice for me. And you know, I voted for him and I went, you know what? This is the last time. This is the last time
Mhm.
I'm casting a settlement vote. I just the party needs to become more responsive to the people. They're
Mhm.
undemocratic. They're I mean, just today I was looking at the process by which a person could say, okay, I want to have a say with the party, right?
Mhm.
And it's very difficult. A small number of faceless, nameless people are able to dictate who gets to set platforms, policies, and the average voter who thinks that they're getting their electoral say when they show up to the polls
Mhm.
has no idea who is actually making these platform decisions, who's making the decisions on what candidates are getting pushed to the forefront. It's undemocratic.
Mhm.
And people don't even know how undemocratic it is unless they show up and try to be part of the process. And if you show up alone, if you show up without a caucus or something, they drive you out of there faster than you can blink.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you know, straight up slander sometimes. Just like I said, uh, the little rumor mill would go, and it's such a incestuous group of people that it spreads really quickly.
Mhm.
So this whole like Amy's anti-choice. Well, I mean, I was the state chair of Kansas Now. Like, I had a feminist radio program. Like, I'm not anti-choice, but they pen me as that within the people that make the decisions for the party, and that wasn't something that got to go to the people to be voted on. That like that, you know, I mean, they get to vote in the race, right?
Mhm.
But the party, when the party withholds volunteers, um, chooses not to invest any money in an individual race, the average voter will go, well, this person doesn't have an organized campaign. And especially when there's a moderate Republican, go, well, we probably better just stick with that.
Mhm.
So it just, a lot happens behind the scene that people don't know about. Like it's hard for the average voter to understand how much of what they think is their democracy is decided by faceless people to them, you know. You and I know who's making these decisions.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
exactly.
and we know how they've gotten there. And it's not democratic.
Mhm.
And I think that, to me, that is one of the primary things that when a lot of the country's just really fed up with this. They're really fed up with the choices that the Democratic Party makes as a national party. I think a lot of people do not pay enough attention to their state races as they should.
Right.
And also part of that is that the national party, like, it's not the national party isn't just some sort of group of national actors. It is the will of the individual state parties. The individual state parties still have a just enormous amount of influence on the national politics too. Really, those ground level, no name people that nobody is aware that nobody's even aware that they in Kansas get to be committee people if they want.
Mhm.
That they have to file for that they have to run for that, and then they can have a vote to vote on the people that have a vote to vote on the people that have a vote to vote on the people that have a vote for the DNC.
Yep.
Like, that is how convoluted the process is, and lay people don't know it. And by lay people, I mean regular voters.
Yeah.
People who think they are members of the Democratic Party and have no idea how this organization runs.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I was a precinct person for 13 years and actually stepped spit down because of 17. I'm not going to vote for that punk, and shame on you for pushing him on me. And while I'm thinking about it, 2016, I noticed a huge like yank to the right among particularly the YDs. There's you may I think you recall when Ryland was running the YDs,
I do.
and I feel that when he died, the spirit of the YDs died with him. Well, 16 comes along, and all of a sudden you have these Republican light types in the YDs, and these punks are all getting elected somehow, even in my house district, and I just can't support them. And I know a couple of them for a fact were among the volunteers I had mentioned. Sign our petition or you can't vote.
Well, okay. So, this is one of the points that I'm going to be grumpy about Bernie Sanders. And I don't know. How do you feel about Bernie Sanders?
Well, Bernie's people did help me with my campaign, so I owe a debt to them. And ideologically, I do align myself more with Bernie, but if you don't, that's perfectly fine too.
I do actually. Well, I align myself. I think he is capturing the left spirit of the Democratic Party.
Mhm.
I think that some of the proposals Elizabeth Warren had would have actually taken us farther left.
Yep.
And I don't like that Bernie's people made her sound more right wing than him, even though I know she used to be.
Mhm.
And I'm a firm believer in people can have that change mentality and wake up to their wrongheadedness. But that's all just kind of personal preference, whatnot. My problem with Bernie Sanders is that I feel like his position, he could have done so much more to energize his base. I mean, he had such a great network going
Mhm.
to address the leadership problems in the state parties. And I think that when he runs for president as a Democrat and then in off years goes back to being an independent, he is forgoing that leadership that he could have to help drive the understanding that it's races that you might not even notice, the people you don't even, the names you don't recognize, those little ground level things. Like, I feel like he's in such a good position to either lead the charge, to have form a grassroots movement to reform the party, or to lead an exodus that forms an actual viable third party, which I think is less likely. Like, I think the third party option is the least viable. But I do think that he should have been leading the charge to bring a ground level up transformation of Democratic Party leadership, because they're ripe for the taking. Like, there are more of us than there are of them, but they know the meetings to go to, they know the hands to shake, and they've got the voter information in the databases locked up. So like, you and I can't just go find the people who would be willing to like participate in that change.
Right.
He could do that. And it upsets me that he doesn't. And I feel like he's kind of left us on the ground level having to come up with our own solutions on what's going on with the Democratic Party. And only those of us who have entered into the world of the Democratic Party even know what it is that have to be changed.
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense? Like, a change needs to happen, and it has to happen at the county level.
Yep.
For it to happen at the state level, for it to happen at the national level. And in some states, it means it has to happen at the Senate district level, or the congressional district level, or in our case, precincts and county into Senate district, into state level. I mean, it is so convoluted, but we have the numbers. If we could get them out to actually place the votes that they don't know they need to be placing. Like, it's just, yeah, you know, we just need a push there. We need to fix this.
I agree.
I'm tired of being told I'm too radical by the Democratic Party, because I have been regularly. I'm out collecting these vote yes signs that are out in public medians, and they're telling me that I'm a criminal, and they're just like, you are committing crimes. And I'm going, I am an attorney. I know what a crime is, and this isn't one. And they're like, well, I was told it was. Like, congratulations. My law degree says that I can read this statute, where you're kind of having some trouble here. And they just kept going with, you're committing a crime, you're committing a crime, you're committing a crime. And I said, you do realize that accusing a licensed professional of legal and ethical violations is serious slander. You can't just say that about me. That is actually actionable. You can't be spreading lies about me being a criminal, and over doing things to support the cause too. It's like, I mean, come on, you can't even win when they're gonna say that picking up litter from public medians, like, I'm not going into homeowners associations even and grabbing their medians. I'm not taking it off of business land, public right of way on business land. I'm taking it off of public land and medians on public roads. Like, this is not there's just not a legal theory whereby that's a crime. And in fact, I've yoinked them out of there right in front of police officers on multiple occasions because I am not committing any crimes. I know I'm not committing any crimes, and I'm not concerned about being taken in for committing these imaginary crimes. And they just don't get that you can't say things like that about people. Like, you can't just say I'm committing crimes when no crimes have happened. You stop it. You know, and it's that level of toxicity, that level of misunderstanding, and a culture that, like, people that get in there get driven away really, really, really fast unless they have deep enough pocketbooks to be influential.
Right.
And that is exactly the kind of thing that people are so tired of. Like, we've got the numbers. We just got to get through this this quagmire. I don't know what to call it, but it's just a mess. I know you've seen a different part of the mess than I have,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Completely different part of the mess. And other people I've talked to have seen different parts of the mess. But then, you know, there are people who run in races that are unopposed, no primary, right?
Mhm.
And have a Republican that they really don't like. And then they're really lauded as being super special. And it's not, I don't know, it's a weird thing. It's almost like, well, there's nothing I can do for the party living where I do that they're going to be happy with. And I certainly don't get to, you know, just try to exercise what I'd like to see my community look like, right?
Right.
I don't know. I get crap from people when I say things like the Democratic Party needs to change. I'm really tired of this. And people come on there and like, well, then you're gonna vote Republican. I'm like, no, disagreeing with the Democratic Party does not equal I'm a right-wing conservative now.
Mhm. That's
And
right.
you know, if once you get in there, depending on what part of town you live in, who invited you to the group. I mean, sometimes it'll just be, you know, the friend that invited you to come meet the party was already persona non grata. And so now you're just, nope, get this person out of here. It's, you know, I thought middle school was tough socially with like the mean girls and stuff like that.
Right.
It's got nothing on how our country's actually run at these ground level races. It's amazing.
That's right.
And so, yeah, I'm going to complain about that. They shouldn't be able to run our country that way. It's not a good option. This is not what democracy actually looks like. And it's why you're continually getting candidates that you're going, well, this isn't exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can continue to get candidates who claim they're progressive, but you look at their record. Brookridge golf course, tearing out all that green space for a development that still hasn't happened, and you know, we'll see about that. Claim, oh, I'm pro-education. Well, said development is being paid off the backs of the Cheyenne Mission School District. Environmentally friendly, well, in addition to Brookridge okaying a toll lane at a time when we need to be cutting off our dependence from cars, you tell me that's progressive. And that ain't progressive, not even one bit. Truly progressive would be arguing, oh, let's put a streetcar on Metcalf.
Yes. And expanding public transit, you know, making taxes make sense. You know, we really haven't recovered from the 2013 tax stupidity. I don't even know how to like that the tax thing, the Brownback's tax plan. It's like once they remove a tax, the Democrats don't have the stomach to reinstate it fully, right?
Right.
Because well, this is a tax hike, and you know, actually, I would rather, for example, tax the crap out of Bill Gates than let him give all of his money into a charity that allows him to define what education policy looks like in this country. That is one of the most undemocratic things imaginable. He gets to take all of his money, have a tax write-off on it, and disproportionately influence what education policy looks like in the United States. And I don't even care if I agree with what his policies are. I don't care what they are. He shouldn't be the education guru. Like that should be up to elected people. And you know, being able to just say no, tax is better than charitable giving, actually.
I agree.
Yeah. Like fund hospitals. Like, you know, God bless St. Jude and all, but they should be funded without having to, you know, advertorial for that stuff all the time.
Mhm.
They
Absolutely.
should just, that care should be covered without, you know, we shouldn't need a march of dimes. We shouldn't need all of that stuff. It should just be covered.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do have only a couple minutes left, unfortunately. So we'll, I'll go and close on talking about your podcast real quick.
Yeah,
I've
I love
heard
it.
I've heard a couple of episodes. Amy's podcast, by the way, is called "These Are Bad Movies." Bad. These are bad movies. Respect my authority.
They're all bad. Every single one of them. All bad movies.
I heard the Top Gun episode, and I agree, not a great movie, but then again, it does have one of the best movie soundtracks ever. So,
Well, that is an opinion that one could have. Oh, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. I actually really, what was the Playing with the Boys? There's a cover of it on Rocket League that I really like. That's a cover of it with a female singer, and it's actually very good. I really like it. So now I hear that one play. I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. Kenny Loggins or whatever. No.
yeah.
But yeah, the point of the podcast is to kind of look at how we're being socialized to look at things
Mhm.
and just spotting propaganda, because just the little ways that you're told to view the world can have a big impact on things like how Americans still react to the word socialist as though it's, you know, the Cold War, and we're going to practice duck and cover drills now. You know, it's
Ridiculous.
disproportionate to reality, and it's disproportionate to what, you know, most of our socialist allies, I mean, most of the countries that we are closest alike with and most allied with are already socialist nations and
Mhm.
do not understand our fear of that word. And a lot of it comes from the media that we consume, the really passive ways that things are represented as being either bad or normal, and they shouldn't be maybe considered normal. It has an impact on the way you view your political spectrum. You know, the fact that Top Gun was really a recruiting move. It was just trying to get people to join the Navy.
Mhm.
And you sit there and you watch. I mean, I watched it as a kid and I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I mean, it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, right? And I played the Nintendo version and I was like,
Right.
I hate this. but you know, I hadn't stopped to think about like, oh, that's people in this war that are being killed. Like it makes you not think all the way through on these choices because it just like, this is rad as hell. Let's just go ahead and fly this bomber, right?
Right.
You know, not everything that looks rad as hell is actually a good thing for the world.
So true. So true. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to leave it there, but thanks for being on the podcast, and let me know if you want to invite me to do your podcast sometime. So
I was actually going to extend that invitation, but here's the thing: you have to come up with a movie.
I'll consider it. In the meantime, there is a top 10 movies episode of this podcast. I suggest listen to. I'll share the link with you.
Yeah, I'll take a listen.
All right.
And then you know, we like to tear apart people's favorite movies. So that's just a hobby.
All right. Well,
Thanks for having me.
thank you for coming on. Yeah.